Alrighty, so we are adding products to our cart and displaying them. Now let's display the payment information. So down here we have subtotal, processing fee, shipping and handling, and the total. And just to refresh, this charge information, we've already actually written the code to do those calculations in our Stripe Cart singleton. So we have these computed properties for the subtotal, which goes through and loops through all of the items in our cart items array and sums up all of the prices. Then we have our processing fees being calculated here, our total right here, and then our shipping fees come from right here. And this will come into play a little bit later when we get into the Stripe integration. So we have all the info we need. However, these values are in pennies, integer pennies, or the smallest unit of currency for your locale. We need to convert that to a dollar amount string to be displayed. You could do this a number of ways. You could create a converter class. You could just have a function either here in the Stripe cart or in the checkout view controller. What I'm going to do is add it as an extension function to the integer class that will convert the pennies into a formatted currency string. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to come back up here to our extensions, and I'm going to create a new extension here, and we're going to extend the int class. We're going to create a function that is going to convert an integer to a formatted currency. I'm going to say func pennies to formatted currency. And we are going to return a string from this function. Okay. First thing we're going to need to do is convert the pennies to dollars. And again, this will need to be adjusted for your local currency if you're in another country besides the US. So I'm going to say let dollars equal, and there are 100 pennies in a dollar, so we're going to need to divide the integer by 100. So I'm going to say double self divided by 100. Okay, so we're turning it into a double so that we can divide it by 100. So for instance, if we had, let me just do a little bit of an example here. We'll say if the int this function is being called on is 1, 2, 3, 4, for instance, so 1,234 pennies, then this dollars is going to equal 1, 2, 3, 4 divided by 100, or $12.34. Okay. And this self is whatever value this function pennies to formatted currency is being called on. Now we're going to need a formatter. So I'm going to say let formatter. We've done this a few times, converting numbers to currency strings. So this is a number formatter. The formatter style, number style, is equal to dot currency. And then we format the string. So if let dollar string is equal to formatter dot string from an NS number. So we say dollars, which is a double, and we have to cast it as an NS number. Then we will return dollar string. If, however, that fails, we will return just a simple $0 string. All right, I'm going to save that. So just go over that one more time. We start out with an integer, and we're going to turn that into dollars by dividing it by 100. Then we're going to take that number and use our formatter to return a dollar string. All right, save that, and let's come back to our checkout view controller, and we can set those labels. So we have our subtotal label, processing, shipping, and total. Okay, so here in view did load, I'm going to say subtotal label dot text is equal to Stripe cart dot subtotal, which is an int. so we can call our pennies to formatted currency. So we pass into that function this subtotal integer, and we call pennies to formatted currency, and we get back a formatted currency string. Then we're going to say processing fee label dot text is equal to stripe cart dot processing fees dot pennies to formatted currency. We have shipping cost label dot text is equal to stripe cart dot shipping fees dot pennies to formatted currency. And finally, we have our total label dot text is equal to stripe cart dot total dot pennies to formatted currency. All right, so let's go ahead and test this out. I'm going to save this and run it. And let's go ahead and add a few products. I'm going to say add to cart, add to cart, add to cart. And then let's go to our cart here. And hey, there we go. We are seeing our subtotal, which is $52.97. We have our processing fee and the total. Very cool. All right, so one thing that I'm noticing that I'm not really liking is this margin on our table view. Let's go ahead and adjust that. So I'm going to come here to our main.storyboard, grab our table view here, come to our size inspector, check out our constraints, and we have trailing and leading 20. So let's go ahead and change that to 6 and 6 and save that. And then let's run it. Let's add some products, add to cart, check out our cart. There we go, that looks much better. All right, back to our checkout VC, and one thing that I wanna do real quick is refactor these into some functions just to clean up our view did load. So I'm gonna say func setup table view and cut these lines here, paste it in here. Then I'm going to say func setup payment info. And I'm going to cut these 4 lines and paste them here. And then we're going to call those functions here in our view did load, setup table view and setup payment info. And then just clean this up a little bit. Whoops. And that looks much better. All right, so now I have a couple of challenges for you. Right now, when we are in our products view controller, clicking on this add to cart doesn't do anything. I want you to make it so when you click on the add to cart button, it adds that product to the cart. And the code is mostly already there for you to use as an example with the favorite button code. So if you go to your product cell.swift, you'll see here that we have this protocol, product cell delegate. In it, we have a function, product favorited. You will need to add another delegate method here, and then call that method here in the add to cart clicked. You will need to conform to that method in the products view controller. So you'll have something similar to this right here, where you will add the past product to the stripe cart using the same method that we did in the details view controller. The next challenge is a little more involved, but still similar to the favorite button and add to cart code here. What I want you to do is in our checkout VC, make it so that when we click on the trash button here, that it removes this item from the stripe cart and reloads the table view as well as the payment information. So use the favorite button code as a guide. You'll need to create a protocol, have the checkout VC conform to it, and remove the product from the stripe cart, and then reload the table view as well as the payment information. So use the favorite button code as a guide. If you need to go back and watch that video where we go through it in detail, do that. Give this a shot, and we will go through the solution together in the next lesson. I will see you there.